Hey, Steve Zonardo here with Remax Experts, Zonardo Associates. Sorry about the tardiness with this week's Mondays with Steve. And last week we didn't do it because we're at the Nobleton Fair. But just kind of looking into inventory week over week, we had this week here 12,561 units, and last week we had about 11,665 units. So it's up about 7% in inventory, so nothing too dramatic there. Sales did drop though. So when we reported last a couple weeks ago, we had sales of that week of 1,830 units, which was fantastic. And now we dropped down 35% to 1,174 units. So just like a dramatic drop off right there. And we're feeling it a little bit with some of the listings that we have. We sort of see sort of like just a drop off in showings right now. I mean, mind you, it could be the end of the going into the end of the school year or going into June. Usually, our spring market is done by the end of May. I mean, June still kind of picks up a bit, but we're at the tail end of it. Our big rush is between, let's say, March and May, so we might be at the tail end of that. But we'll keep you posted on that. Also, like bidding wars, we've had the return of the bidding war. It came back, but now it looks like it's ending again. So going into the summer months, we'll figure that out. As we're talking about in the later or the earlier post, talking about inflation. So inflation's back. We know that Bank of Canada will meet in July. We're gonna probably expect another interest rate hike. It is what it is. It's almost like they gotta keep hammering this thing down until it just dies. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe just a quarter basis points going forward. This was an interesting article because going into this is like, where is everyone getting the money? Even coming back this year here, first quarter came out very strong. We had a lot of activity on properties. We had a lot of our listings sell quite quickly. We had bidding wars on properties representing buyers. We've had bidding wars. It was sort of a nightmare. I love that balance market, like 2018. Amazing. You had time to submit an offer, think about the offer, secure the offer. It was not this crazy rush. Obviously, we have still a lack of inventory in the market compared to the buyers out there. But my biggest like talking point with Mike and the team, and also just friends and family members is where's everybody getting the money? And this would make sense. It's called Canada's Home Buyers Need Help from the Bank of Mom and Dad. Bank of Mom and Dad is the baby boom era that's basically coming to an end. They're all retiring between 2030 and 2040, which is a huge issue going forward with just the amount of jobs that need to be filled in, like different roles. And they're saying that 1/5 of all employment right now is basically baby boomers. So we're going to have like a huge drop off of basically jobs going forward. And again, a lot of baby boomers are extending their stay and not retiring at 65. They're kind of hanging out. I think it could also be affordability, or they're trying to help out their kids a little bit further. But let's read into this article. And then anything with this name, I tell you, warn it, because it's usually wrong data. But anyway, so it says here, so buying frenzy is re-emerging in Canada, and again, late already. It's ended. So this was released like a couple of days ago. The frenzy has ended. But that's what it is. It's always like 4 to 6 weeks late. But anyway, we'll read on here. Buying frenzy is re-emerging in Canada after one of the steepest housing price declines in the nation's history. In Toronto, properties are selling the day they hit the market. Vancouver, lines of open houses are stretching down the block. Homes are now once again selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking. Again, I'm scratching my head as I'm reading that paragraph. But it says here, the mystery is where the money is coming from. And this was my always thought process, because we know that we're not making any more money. Like, I know friends and family members, clients, it's not like we've had this massive increase in salary, which never happened. So it's like, where's the money coming from? And is it immigration? Is it the 400,000 or 500,000 new immigrants coming in from South Asia? Is that populating and buying everything? Potentially. But this kind of makes sense too for a lot of the Canadian citizens, is that money's coming from mom and dad. So it says here, despite what is a nearly 16% drop in home prices over 11 months, it was like 22 to 24%. But anyway, Canadian housing may be average. Canadian housing is the least affordable it's been in more than 4 decades, according to Oxford Economics. That's because mortgage rates rose at a faster clip than prices fell last year, leaving the most gauges economists, I can't even pronounce the word, economists use the measure affordability worse instead of better. So how are buyers bridging that gap? And it may be that they're getting help from their parents. It's potential. Yeah. I mean, we have clients too that the parents are funding some of the deposit and stuff like that. But how much can you actually give your children? I mean, even baby boomers here, it says they have an average wealth, if you see down here, average net worth of $1.2 million. But that's not cash. That's also equity in the home. So what they're saying is that now baby boomers are retiring, they get into condos, they're cashing out, and they have these additional funds now they can lend their children. Fair enough. I haven't seen a big movement of, let's say, baby boomers selling off their single family dwellings and moving into a condominium. Maybe a smaller property, maybe closer to their kids, but nothing that I've seen like a big momentum where they're actually buying into condominiums unless they're at a much elder age. And then usually if they're downsizing in the city, they're probably going to buy like a secondary property up north, a cottage or something in Florida, like in our neck of the woods here in Florida. So it's just, I don't know what to make out of all this, to be honest. But even let me just read on here because this was interesting, and we always have that. What's causing this big rush of people buying? The fear of missing out, and why are they having a fear of missing out? Is because we know that real estate, deep down, even if you're not a real estate investor, deep down subconsciously that owning real estate is going to set your future up no matter what. Even if it's just one property that you hold, if it's free and clear, you can sell that asset, cash it out, and make moves after. We all know that even making high incomes, if you're not distributing that money into real estate or into investments, having it all in a cash savings account, it disappears quite quickly. We all know this. So roughly 2/3 of Canadians own houses, and after a 553% rise in home prices over the last 25 years, I'd love to see what the income increase was in the last 25 years, right? If the houses had gone 553% higher, so 5.5 times higher than what it was 25 years ago. Many have built up substantial equity combined with extra savings many households amassed during the pandemic. It's creating a large pool of capital waiting to be passed down to the next generation. Clearly, if you're a parent and you are retired and you have some money, why not gift it to your kids now so they don't pay a tax on it later, through an estate sale or through an estate situation where someone passes away. It's better just kind of help them out now. The only thing that troubles me in this article, it's great that, parents are helping out their kids. It's like, but what about the kids taking the money now? Are they going to be able to help out their kids? Like basically the grandkids of these baby boomers? I don't see it, to be honest, because ultimately the baby boomers are going to struggle out to give some of their money, as the article states that they're selling larger properties, and getting into smaller homes. Like, what happens with that? If housing prices have gone up 553% more than 25 years ago when baby boomers are buying houses, like even first-time home buyers now, they're putting $300,000 down, and that's assisted with their parents putting in the deposit for them. They're still carrying like an $800,000 mortgage. Depending now, prices have come down. Let's say in Bolton, you're at $900,000 for a town, $850 to $900. You put $300K down. Maybe you don't need all that, but you're going to put maybe like $200, $250 down. You're still carrying like $700,000 to $650,000 mortgage. It's not like that's ever going to get paid in the next 30 years. You need a bigger house at some point, so you're going to get that townhouse, you're going to flip it, you're going to get into like a full detach, add another $200,000-$300,000 mortgage to it, so now you're back up to whatever you paid off, or even whatever equity you kind of built up with the principal pay down, it's put back into a larger property, and you're accumulating more mass of debt. And that's what my fear is with just Canada in general. It's like we became like hamsters on a wheel. Like every house, if you kind of pan out and look at a subdivision, it's just basically a bunch of hamsters running on a wheel. And I just hated that. This is why we kind of did what we're doing now with regards to selling, cashing out before the bust happened, moving the money, clearing up everything. Like zero mortgages at 41 years old would be nothing, not even a car payment. So that's the whole point, is just to kind of cash out, restructure, and then ultimately start investing again, building, developing, real estate investing, that whole section. So we did 10 years to get to this point, and then we're going to do 10 years to kind of 10x or whatever we did in the last 10 years. That's the point. So this is talking about the baby boomer era here. So 1 in 5 workers are basically baby boomers, and they're they're all about to retire. So baby boomers born between 1946 and 1965. There's already a million job shortages right now, and this is what I'm trying to think now because Canada's created X amount of jobs just recently. I think it was like 41,000, and maybe it's the job openings when the retirees are just basically handed in their resignation, and now it's an opening for obviously the next generation, like the millennials and all that. Um, it's pretty interesting. So they say that an additional 1 million people will be 65 or older by 2025, meaning around 900,000 workers will likely stop work in the next 3 years. Um, that's 50% higher than the average number of people who've retired in the past decade. So it's definitely a worrisome event going on with economists and also the economies, not only just Canada but America, Europe. They call it a population collapse going forward, and it's basically the baby boomers are high income or great income, and it's paying taxes and contributing to society. Now that they're going to be retiring and putting a drag on society, how does that leave world economics going forward? So it's a big thing there.